What's going on, everyone? MikeO back with what's going to be a mail day recap, but also a little catch up because I feel like it's been forever since I've done a video, and it ultimately hasn't been that long. I've done some live streams, some live sales, but they've been kind of shorter and not as consistent as I usually would. The last video I think I published was 9 days ago, a Finest Flashbacks break. And then before that, it was a few weeks. I mean, it's been like 3 or 4 weeks since my last mail day, SGC submission reveal, Topps update breaks. Combination of factors has kept me incredibly busy, and just there've been a few times I was ready to make a video and just didn't get to it. And now you find yourself without a video for a while. So I felt the need to make one. I have some stuff to show off, and just felt like I had to catch up a little bit. So been kind of a whirlwind last month. Topps update came out, and that was probably the product of the year for me in terms of breaking boxes and selling singles online and specifically eBay. I think a combination of factors. I think the fact that Topps update was talked down by some people made people hesitant to buy it and rip it, but there's still collectors. Like Topps flagship is the most collected set every year, Series 1, 2, and then update. From the grand scheme of the hobby. Obviously, you have people who collect high-end, and that's going to be some of the stuff that gets talked about a lot. But Topps flagship, people collect single cards, they collect players they like, they collect team sets, full sets, insert sets, master sets. So there's a lot of value in breaking a product like that. It's a lot of work, for sure, but I actually did really well. I think the fact that, also with economic times, more people were less likely to say, I'm going to break a box and then buy some singles. They just kind of went straight singles. And a lot of people selling cards, didn't think the product was going to have enough, so they didn't break it. Plus, people are putting money out for basketball and football and all that stuff. So maybe a little less competition, but it did really well. I sold out of a number of team sets, sold a ton of team sets, like well over 100, tons of the inserts and parallels, and every now and then some of the bigger cards didn't hit anything crazy, but just did really well with it and kept really busy. I had like 5 or 6 consecutive days where I had over 100 orders to package from that specific set, and I did all that leading into a trip up to northeastern Pennsylvania to meet with Big Scott 35, where we did a day trip to Cooperstown, New York, which is a special place, an awesome town, an awesome trip for a baseball fan. Really, I mean, if you're somewhat local to there, an awesome just trip in general, just cool scenery, especially in the fall, leaves changing, and just kind of that fall look is just special there with playoff baseball, and then of course seeing the Hall of Fame. And the Hall of Fame is awesome. I've been there quite a few times. I've talked about it in the channel. Right over there is a video playing from a couple years ago I did. That's the trading card section of the Hall of Fame. I think it's, Treasures? I don't know. I just saw it. I forget offhand. But went there with Scott, and it was pretty great to see him have joy in it. Not the perfect day. A lot of things going on, and it was cool and damp and rainy and not the most beautiful of days, but it's a beautiful place, and I know Scott enjoyed himself and had a great time. It was awesome to spend a few days with him. The bad part of being up there was watching some of the NLCS. The Phillies, obviously, that was another thing that kept me busy, watching the postseason, following the postseason, that whirlwind ride. They beat the Marlins 2-0 in the wild card, which was great, and then they upset the Braves 3-1 in a really good series. And then the NLCS, they got up 2-0. Game 3 they lost, tight game, disappointing game, but it is what it is. You're not gonna win every game. But Game 4 I did watch up there with him, and that was a tough one. That was, if you sit back and think about it, I mean, that's probably like an all-time loss. And at the time, I really felt like there was a good chance it was going to cost them the series, and ultimately it did. I mean, that's not the only reason they lost, but a game they were up 5-2 in, where I just thought the pitching staff was totally mishandled, and Young guy gave up a run to make it 5-3. Craig Kimbrell comes in the eighth, and he had a pitiful game. And a lot of people, he's going to be the guy that people complain about, but it was a collective team loss in the NLCS. But he was bad in that game, putting guys on, giving up the home run, putting more guys on, ultimately giving up the go-ahead run, and they lose that game. They did win Game 5 and then fell short at home. So really disappointing loss with that. But after being away for a few days, you come back and you're busy, right? You have a lot of stuff to catch up on, and that was just another thing that got me behind. And then this whole past week I was dealing with computer issues, which I finally got solved. I have access to the old hard drive. It's goofed up where you can't really use it in the computer, but you have a mechanism you can access it and transfer files and such. The issue with that was I hadn't done a backup in the last couple months of my eBay listings, and that held me back because the software I used to help with eBay listings was inaccessible for a week. So I had to list stuff manually. I was listing some Adolis Garcia stuff, things like that. I'd spent countless hours, working with it and then working with a friend of mine to recover stuff. So it just felt continuously busy. But the Phillies, I mentioned that a little bit. Just very disappointing end. Obviously, it's hard to win a World Series, and that's why I treasure that poster back there. That's the 2008 Phillies, and I actually have down towards the bottom, I think I showed off before, ticket stubs. I was at that game, Game 5, parts 1 and 2, with my dad, and it's, moments and memories that I'll treasure forever. And I was thinking about that moment when I watched Baseball Collector's video. He had a little reaction video of the Rangers win the World Series. By the way, congrats, Mike. A moment you will treasure forever, a season you'll treasure forever. But when I was watching his video, I was thinking back, and 15 years since that took place. And it's hard to win a World Series. It is incredibly difficult. I've said it before, if every team took turns winning one every year, it's going to be once every 30 years. And you never know when the next one's going to be or if there'll be a next one. I'm sure there were Cubs fans, in the early 1900s that thought they would see another one, and they never did. Cleveland fans, So last year, the Phillies had a miracle run, completely came out of nowhere, reached the World Series. We're up 2-1, and the bats went cold, and they ended up ultimately losing to Houston. Had winnable games in Games 5 and 6, and came up a little short, but it was a season to be proud of, filled with moments and memories that I'll continue to hold on to forever. And this year, I'm sure in the future you will think back to some of the moments and some of the memories, but ultimately when you lose as a favorite and when you lose once you're leading the season, and a lot of those memories do start to be forgotten a little bit. Two of the Phillies' best seasons in franchise history were 2010 and 2011. 2010, they got upset by the Giants in the NLCS, had a heartbreaking series loss to them. And in 2011, that was their best season in franchise history. In the regular season, 102 victories. And they lost in the NLDS against the Cardinals. A Cardinals team that had won 86, 87 games. They got in on the final day, got in part because the Phillies had beaten the Atlanta Braves, who were really beat up at the time. And they lost a heartbreaker, 1-0 there. That was one of their few winner-take-all games in franchise history. And you on occasion will think back to times of those seasons, but you think back more to 93, which kind of came out of nowhere, and 2008, where they won the World Series. And I'll always think back to 2022 and the Harper home run and winning the pennant. And, that's what I had hoped they would at least accomplish this year, especially being up 2-0. And then when they lost that Game 4, honestly, I kind of thought they would lose Game 5. And then if they got down 3-2, probably press and lose Game 6. That was just how I was feeling in the moment. When they won Game 5 and they had to come home and just win one of two, I knew it was incredibly important they win Game 6, and it was kind of like a no-show effort. And then Game 7, you had a few moments, and they had opportunities. And ultimately, like last year, the bats just went straight up cold. Game 6 and 7, they couldn't do anything. And disappointing. The Arizona Diamondbacks won the pennant, 84-win team, and did not particularly play well in the World Series. The Rangers, I felt like the Rangers kind of dominated for the most part. I know the Diamondbacks had a lead in Game 1, and a huge home run from Corey Seager and Adolis Garcia in extra innings. Rangers won Game 1. Diamondbacks responded in Game 2, and then 3, 4, 5, I never really felt like Arizona was going to win it at that point. But congrats to the Rangers, who won their first World Series in franchise history, and it's definitely cool to see people enjoy that. Anyway, those are just some thoughts. Catching up for 10 minutes, let's look at some of the cards that I have picked up in the last month or so. All right, so this is some of what I've picked up in the last month. I've had some other things come in as well. I'm just going to end up doing a second mail day in the future days. It's because I've been trying not to pick up too much, but of course I do continuously pick up stuff. It's hard to not pick up anything. I have a few stacks here. A couple things I got from Steve, Purple GT, some Scott stuff I got from Scott, Big Scott 35, and then some other pickups. And some Tops Now, of course, which I always pick up. And I was hoping to pick up more. I was hoping to pick up some pennant clinching stuff and some World Series cards, but obviously that didn't happen. Few last ones from the regular season. Orion Kerkering, young phenom, should be really good. He had some good moments. He had some good moments in the Wild Card Series. He wasn't as good in the NLCS. Gave up runs, I believe, in 2 appearances. Single runs, so he didn't blow up, but he also didn't kind of quite get the job done. This is a kid who only pitched in a handful of regular season games, so you could only expect so much, but really a cool story this year. Also have the Topanga cards came out. She threw out first pitch, some characters, actors from Boy Meets World, which, if you guys remember the show, did take place in Philadelphia. We're in town for some sort of convention and threw out the first pitch, so that was pretty cool. Definitely happy to have that one in. One last one, the Philadelphia Phillies clinch postseason berth with a walk-off win. So it was nice to see the Phillies back in the postseason and playing playoff baseball for the second consecutive year. Not something that the Phillies have done a ton of in their history, ultimately. Granted, the majority of their history you didn't have expanded playoffs, so you hope to see them in more often, of course. But you never know. It is special. I certainly know how special it is, and I do savor every moment. And there were a lot of great moments in this postseason, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching with my dad. I enjoyed talking to family members about it, and of course the friends in real life, of course, and your hobby friends. And your hobby friends do become your real life friends as well. But just have that inner circle of fellow Phillies fans and collectors that you know are just obsessed with the sport of baseball. And when you have those great moments, you share that elation. And when you have those traumatizing moments, you kind of lean on each other for support, whether it's bitching about specific moves or just getting things off your chest. It does ultimately make you feel a little better. So we definitely shared some moments this year for sure. And of course the run, ended sadly, and it's really disappointing because I just think certain things mean more to certain people, if that makes sense. Certain areas of the country or just certain groups of people or certain individuals just care a little more about different things. There's some people who care more about football or college sports or whatever. And I know from my family, it's like heavily baseball. And some of the things I heard were, it's just sad, but there were happy memories as well. And some of these were captured in these Tops Now cards. So Rhys Hoskins, Phillies fan favorite, throws out first pitch of the postseason. Was hoping to see him back in the playoffs. He likely would have been on the World Series roster, but of course the Phillies fell a game short. Here's Bryce Harper, late game hustle, seals Phillies win. He ran through a stop sign there and was safe by quite a bit at home plate. Third base coach did not have a great postseason. Bryson Stott, second player in club history with a postseason Grand Slam. I was actually there for the first Grand Slam in postseason history. That was Shane Victorino against the Brewers back in 2008. Don't love the look of that card. I think the image on the back is just better. Phillies advancing to the NLDS with a win. Of course, it's great anytime, they win a postseason series. In the NLDS, Bryce Harper moves to 4th in the all-time Phillies postseason home run list. That's from Game 1. JT Realmuto, home run by a Phillies catcher, most postseason home runs by a catcher. This is actually from Game 2, which was a difficult loss. That was one which made you nervous. Phils had the lead. They blew it late in the 8th inning. I think it was with 2 outs, and then they tried to rally in the 9th. Castellanos hit a bomb to center. Michael Harris made an incredible play and then doubled off Harper. But ultimately, the Phillies went home and took care of business, won a couple games, and, ended up winning the series. This is a great image. I love this. Unfortunately, Topps didn't use the stare down, which they mention here. And they did do the stare down as a super short print. They made 100 copies of it. And because they announced this card has a huge print run. It was like 9,500 or something. I'd say most Topps Now cards in the postseason are about 1,500 or so. Certain players, rookie players, superstars will be a little more sometimes, but this one was 9,500 or so. I did not get one. I actually did 2 orders of 20 for this. I do love this image, though, but they should have used the stare down or done a separate one. Is Nick Castellanos, who was red hot during the Braves series and carried that into Game 1 of the NLCS and then just lost it. Crushes 2 home runs to help the Phils take NLDS lead. And then in Game 4, first player with back-to-back multi-home run postseason games. Did that little bat flip there. But that was a cool moment. And Trey Turner records first Phillies 4-hit postseason game. That was in the clincher. Matt Strahm getting a Topps Now card. Slams doors Phillies punch ticket to NLCS. He did save and help clinch that series. And then here's the team's card. Club advances to NLCS for 2nd consecutive season. It was great to see them back in the NLCS. I'm someone who watches the baseball playoffs every year, every series. And that makes the moments where your team is in it, all that much more special. And when it's that special, it's that much more incredible when they're victorious and that much more painful when they come up short. NLCS Game 1, Kyle Schwarber passes legends for most leadoff postseason home runs. Bryce Harper blows out Diamondbacks with a birthday homer. That might actually be from Game 2. I forget offhand. Because Game 1, the Phillies got up 5-0, and then Arizona creeped back and fought back. It was a 5-3 final. Game 2 was the big one where they won like 10-0. Nick Castellanos, second player with 5 home runs in 3-game span. Okay, so that is Game 1. Castellanos, that was basically his last moment of the postseason. I don't think he recorded a hit after that. He was horrific in the remainder of the NLCS. And Zach Wheeler was incredible in the postseason, including the NLCS. If the Phillies would have come back and pulled off Game 7 victory late, unless Schwarber was the one who did it, Zach Wheeler was probably going to be MVP. 2 great starts and then a really good relief appearance in Game 7, which gets completely forgotten because of the Phillies offense. But cool card there. And then from Game 2, we got 2 cards. Kyle Schwarber, 2-homer game, powers team to NLCS Game 2 win and makes MLB history. And then there was a dual card. Phillies set record for most postseason home runs, 15 over a 4-game span. Features Trey Turner and Schwarber. I did not get my cards in yet for Game 5, but that'll wrap it up. That comes to the sudden conclusion of the Tops Now set. They have a couple cards for the Game 5 victory. Harper stealing home, and I think Schwarber has a card as well. I don't think they had any in Game 3 or 4. Maybe they did. Schwarber might have gotten a card in Game 3 or 4 that didn't come in yet, but then that's it. So the rest of those will come in later, but yeah, I've been talking a lot about the Phillies playoffs, just getting some of it off my chest. Let's get to the rest of the cards, and this is a lengthy video, so I appreciate you guys who stick with it. Purple GT, my guy Steve and his wife Heather at Citizens Bank Park. Had the pleasure of meeting Steve a few years ago at the Phillies show. Hopefully one of these days we'll get down to a Phillies game. I know it's been the plan for a few years, and then just things get difficult. Everyone gets busy. I had purchased a group of stuff from him, one of his live sales. Here's a couple I got for the collection. This is a Bryce Harper. Pink. It's the Topps 87 Mini. Pink, numbered to 25. So cool card there for the Harper collection. And then a relic from Topps Holiday. This is from the 2020 set. So a Holiday Mega jersey relic of Bryce Harper. Cool image look there. So thank you, Steve. Purple GT, check him out. He's been on YouTube for well over a decade. So Steve is a great member of the community. We got some stuff here. So a couple cards here just from him. I brought a bunch of mosaic boxes up. When I went upstate with Scott, I just had some around. I knew I wanted to rip them anyway. And we kind of expected to buy some stuff to break, and we didn't ultimately do that up in Cooperstown, but just a couple Pats for the collection, a Gronkowski green and a Ty Law base. The Mac Jones, I just figure I might as well keep. What else am I going to do with it? Scott did buy one box of Bowman Platinum from Walmart, and he pulled a Harper and gifted it to me. So, Scott, appreciate it for the Bryce Harper collection. And then he had opened some Donruss as well. Richie Ashburn orange foil. Mick Abel, who's a promising prospect. We'll see if he's with the big club next year or if he ends up getting dealt in the offseason. Al Simmons, he is an athletic. Justin Crawford relic. And then Scott had brought this one up and given it to me. He got this out of an Allen Ginter pack. It is a gold mini, unnumbered Ryan Howard. Member of the 2008 Phillies. Had a great run with the Phillies in the 2000s. Really, one of the all-time power hitters in franchise history. I want to say he's, second or third on the all-time home run list for the Phillies. So, great career. Unfortunately, he played during the time of the shift, or his average would have probably been 25 points higher. And he played in the era where there was no DH regularly in the National League. Otherwise, maybe that would have extended his career. His Achilles injury really hampered the back half of his career. Here's a couple eBay pickups. So I got a Zach Wheeler gold mini diamond refractor from Topps Finest. That is numbered somewhere. There it is up there, numbered out of 50. Zach Wheeler's awesome and not collected in the hobby, so it's always great to pick his stuff up cheap. Here is a Trey Turner Chrome card from the Topps Lid promotion. Picked that one up on eBay. Not sure what this is out of, an All-Star Game card for Bryce Harper from Topps. I don't know if this is from a promotion done during the All-Star Game or if it's from another set Topps put out, but it was cheap enough that I picked it up. Taijuan Walker from the Topps Living set. Not sure why he's the Philly they made most recently. He did have a decent regular season, totaling 15 wins, but just didn't pitch well in the second half and was on the playoff rosters, but was the only Philly to not participate in a single game. Kind of surprising he didn't get used at all. Certainly has the talent to pitch well, just has a hard time, especially early in games, putting it together. Ranger Suarez pitched very well in the postseason. Could have been a little better in Game 7. He wasn't perfect. Wasn't bad either. Did suffer the loss. Gave up 3 earned runs in like 5 2/3 innings or so. But if the offense can't put up enough runs, that's what's going to happen. That is number 29 of 50, the Father's Day Blue from Topps Series 2. Here's a Sir Anthony Dominguez Golden Mirror Image Super Short Print from Topps Update. These are tough. They're really tough to get. I mean, I want all the cards anyway because I put them in my binder with my Topps flagship sets, but the Topps Update ones, a lot of the players are featured with their NLCS ring ceremony photos, which is cool. And then this one's especially cool because it has Phillies president Dave Dombrowski, who has done a very good job of assembling a playoff contending team 2 years in a row. They've been there. And then the owner as well. So super cool card there. Still chasing some more of these super short prints. They're just tough. Really tough in Update. I haven't even seen half the cards at all. This is kind of a goofy John Middleton, by the way. I got lost in my train of thought there. But this is another goofy insert from Topps Update. So there's some Halloween parallels. I don't know how hard they are to get or not, but this is the Halloween parallel of Jose Alvarado. So I don't know. I mean, they come out during the Halloween season, I guess, but I feel like this is a goofy card ultimately. But wanted to get at least one, so I picked up the Alvarado fairly cheap. And then the rest of the pickups, these are actually from a card show I attended about a month ago, the local Neshaminy show. A handful of the cards I picked up for the PC. Picked up this Dick Allen Goodwin Champions from 2009, Gypsy Queen back. Love that card. This is from 2023 Allen and Ginter, only in. They're mini inserts. They're pretty tough to get. You get one per box, so it'll take you 30 boxes to get this. They do one item from every ballpark, every current ballpark. This is the Liberty Bell from Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia. So, cool one there. Bryce Harper, Flame Parallel from 2021 Donruss, numbered out of 75. Picked up some of these Topps Pristines because they were fairly cheap, and it's a cool product, just obviously not worth breaking. Cody Clemens, Mark Appel, Rhys Hoskins, Ryan Howard, Bryce Harper, and JT Realmuto. Grabbed one of the short prints, and I need to put together the rest of the short prints. There's a lot of playoff short prints from Topps Heritage, 2023 Heritage. I've yet to get most of them, but was able to get the Bryce Harper, obviously a playoff highlight. Phillies beating the Padres 4-1 in the NLCS. And the Bedlam at the Bank, Bryce Harper home run. And it kind of came close to happening again. In Game 7, he hit a couple balls really hard. Just, it's a game of inches sometimes. Here's Bryce Harper Mojo Refractor from the Bowman Chrome Mega Boxes. Picked up this Lenny Dykstra Studio Gold. Jimmy Rollins Upper Deck Masterpieces. That's from 2008. Dave Bancroft. Old school Philly with the new age look from Prism. I think those are called Hyper Prisms. I forget offhand. They do look cool though, so if I can pick them up cheap, I will. This cost next to nothing. It's just a Matt Vierling first Bowman. Just something I didn't have. He currently with the Tigers, but he was a member of the Phillies back in 2022, so I like to collect some guys from time to time that were on that roster. Just an Inception JT Realmuto. Just a gorgeous looking card. A Topps Pristine Autograph Refractor Encapsulated Mark Appel. Again, couple bucks. Great story. Why not? And then picked up a Del Ennis. This is a TCMA, just a cool looking card. Signed. Would like to send that one off to get authenticated and encapsulate it at some point in the future. Should I do another submission for that? And then a Chase Utley Topps Total Silver Border Parallel. So those are some pickups from the last month and a whole bunch of thoughts about the Phillies postseason coming to an end. And just some general life and hobby thoughts. And I have plenty more. And perhaps I'll do another mail day maybe a little quicker, just showing off some cards, or maybe I'll do some more videos where I'm just getting some thoughts out of my mind. Appreciate you guys watching. Comment below. Let me know what you think of the pickups, what you think of my thoughts, and I will talk to you next time. Have a great one.